이번 연사부는요, 굉장히 7,000km 여기서 떨어져 있는 두바이에서 지금 준비를 하고 계십니다. 오늘 이번 포럼을 위해서 지금 저희가 한 5시간 정도 시차가 나니까 그곳에는 지금 오전일 것 같은데요. 두바이에 대한 이야기를 좀 해주실 분입니다. 두바이는 AI 전략을 선언하는 데 그치지 않고요. 정부 기관별로 AI 책임자와 실증 사업, 그리고 AI 기업 인증, 또 시민 교육까지 다양한 단계를 통해서 도시 전체로 이 실행 체계로 발전을 해 왔는데요. 이 두바이의 AI 정책과 그리고 산업 혁신 총괄 기관인 두바이 센터 포 AI의 Executive Director 사이디 알 파라시님을 모시고 현지에서 온라인으로 연결을 해서 발표를 들어보도록 하겠습니다. 여러분 큰 박수와 함께 발표를 청해 보도록 하겠습니다. Okay, sir, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. I'm Saeed Al-Khalasi from the Dubai Center of AI. We are part of the Dubai Future Foundation that looks after the Dubai and how to prepare the city of Dubai for the next 10 years. I should say good afternoon. It's still morning in Dubai. And I'm happy to be here with you today. I think there are lots of things that we can learn through these type of engagement, and I'm happy to share our story so far. I don't think we are in the middle or the end of our story. I think we are always going to be at the beginning. We continue to learn, we continue to adjust, and we continue to pivot. Thank you for allowing me the chance today just to tell our side of the story. I will be sharing a few slides here, and I'm happy to take any questions later on if the time permits. So today we talk about the Dubai Center of AI and how we went about trying our best to implement generative AI. I think Dubai as a city, we have not been shying away from artificial intelligence. I think having the Minister of AI since late 2016 and 2017, most of our government entities within the city have always been trying to utilize this technology but to provide better services for the city. One of the greatest things that we have within the city of Dubai is that we are always being led by our leadership. It seems that whenever we try to catch up with our leadership, it seems that they are always one step ahead of us. Personally, I still remember trying to pitch the idea of creating a Dubai Center of AI for His Highness Sheikh Hamdan, and it was on the screen here. And as you might be imagining that, I was a bit nervous in terms of how am I gonna describe a technical conversation to potentially a non-technical person. But trust me, perhaps by the second slide of my presentation, he asked me to stop. And he explained to me generative AI and how it can impact our services. To me, this is something that made our life easy. I think if I known that the night before, I would have been as nervous, I would say. But in 2024, Sheikh Hamdan launched the Dubai Blueprint for AI, which kind of set the direction not only for government, but also for the private sector adoption as well as our society. And since then, if we look today at the AI adoption as per the most recent reports, including the Microsoft, for example, We see that Dubai or UAE in general is number one in terms of AI adoption for the workforce. And this tells us two things. It tells us that perhaps our nation is still young, and that many of them are ready to try something new and to experience with with technology. We've been quite engaged with our government sector. We initiated since then 27 chief of AI offices in the various Dubai government entities, and since then we've launched over 90 pilots. Now these 90 pilots allow the government entities to really get excited about not only being able to identify what a good use case is, but all the way to take that use case all the way to apply it and experiment with it. And we did not leave the private sector out of the equation. We created what we call the AI Seal application, which I will touch on later on. But the number of applications that we received from the private sector to apply for the AI Seal, it was of high demand, which showed us as well that there is a great interest at that side. The last number that you see here is one of the things that we wanted to focus on is not only to focus on government and the private sector, but we also wanted to focus on society. So we launched an initiative, we called it the 1 million counters, and this was almost 15 months ago, and our ambition was that within 3 years we should have at least 1 million persons in Dubai and the region actually able to know how to speak to AI, know how to prompt AI. Luckily for us now is that we were able to expand this platform, and today we have almost 850,000 people actively getting certified through the platform. And again, this is one of those things that we feel very strongly as well, that to be able to engage with the public is quite essential. And as I was mentioning earlier, we did not start 2 years ago with generative AI. The major indices around the globe and how we position Dubai today, we always find Dubai in the top 10, if not in the top 5. Because this journey we started it a long time ago. And it's one of the things that the city has always put the North Star toward, which is how can we always elevate the city of Dubai and the services of Dubai to be able to come to people rather than wait for people to come to those government services. And that allowed us always to nudge the government entity to continue to adopt technology. One of the hardest parts for us was specifically around generative AI. We literally had two worlds, if you would to say. One world is the government and its ambition to adopt new technologies, and the other world we had the private sector who had the solutions and ready to go. One of the hardest parts for us was how can we actually have these two worlds or two groups people talk to each other. And the minute that we were able to unlock that and start having that communication between government and the private sector, we felt that we started moving a lot faster. Everyone was excited and everybody was happy to start implementing generative AI, but they did not know how to talk to each other. And perhaps this is where we actually felt that the most traction as a city, we felt helped us move on. Now, our strategy as a Dubai Center of AI has always been around government and the economy sectors and society. And they kind of interlink together. Because we work very closely with the government and we'll always nudge the government to adopt new technologies, that in itself was not only the government adopting new technologies, but if you think about it, it was also the biggest engine that the economy had to start creating demand and opportunities for the private sector. So the more that we push the government to adopt, the more business opportunities are available for the private sector. And we've been doing this for the last 8 years, all in all, when it comes to adopting technology. But over the last 2.5 years, our focus slowly have shifted toward generative AI. And for us to be able to create that cycle between government and the private sector, we continue to not only support the government in its ambition, but also support the private sector and their economical ambition within the city as well. So if we look really quickly into government and what we've done around government, we knew from day one that we needed a champion within each government entity. We cannot have a conversation around the implementation of generative AI just floating around and to become a nice conversation to have rather than a plan to implement. So the first thing that we've done, as a matter of fact, I think from the second week after we launched the Dubai Center of AI, we literally asked the government to nominate a task force from its workforce. And before we knew it, we had almost 53 government teams have been assembled that consisted of over 250 government employees. They were ready, educated, and happy to support the government in its AI initiatives. And on the other side, just like an army, you have the workforce in place, but you really needed a leader. And that's where we introduced the Chief of AI Officers. And we've selected 27 Chief of AI Officers to really look after the various teams within the government entities. This allowed us easy access to government to understand its pain and its opportunities as well. And we had only one person to communicate to rather than having many people to talk to when it comes to each government entities. For smaller government entities, it's a lot easier to find that one person, but the bigger the government entity becomes, the harder to find that one person. So for us to be able to appoint a Chief of AI Officers, it really helped us move things a lot faster. Now, the journey of the Chief of AI Officers has not been, I would say, smooth from day one. We had our own struggles because we always try to figure our way around. And Dubai is known of building planes as it takes off, which means that we have to be quickly in terms of thinking of what's next, and if something is not working, how we can actually pivot out of. So we started with the Chief of AI Officers and their task force, really educated them in terms of how generative AI is different or similar to your traditional AI, and how can we actually convert today generative AI into better services. And going through the process of creating the right frameworks for those Chief of AI Officers to go from this is a really nice idea to implement, all the way to this is an amazing pilot to launch as a government service now that we have tested it. Because as you can imagine at the start, so many people had amazing ideas, but once you start going through the framework to understand, is this a really good idea? Do you have the right data and resources for it? Do you have the right budget? Do you have the right knowledge around it? How impactful is this use case once we get it out of the way and up and running? And as you can imagine, the more questions that we ask around each specific use case, the less likely that it reaches the final stages. Because we really wanted to know how many of those use cases can actually make it as a pilot. And some of the things that we started with, as you can imagine, going from, and I think today we have around slightly over 400 government use cases which have been submitted by the government entities, but we only piloted around 90 because we wanted to stay focused around what works and what doesn't work. If I was to give a quick example, it would be around, for example, Dubai Ambulance. Dubai Ambulance has always had the ambition of being able to reach anyone on the streets who is injured within 3 minutes. And they have been doing very well in the last I would say 10 to 12 years. But they wanted actually to understand how AI can support them. And we ended up with a solution that allows them today to dynamically position all the ambulance cars around the city of Dubai based on traffic and based on input of congestions and based on the volume of vehicles and people in each part of the city. And because we are processing lots of information at the same time, AI is really allowing us to position all these vehicles in the right places. And the feedback that we're getting not only from the Dubai ambulance, but also the people who are actually acquiring their services has been quite positive. So sometimes it's not really necessary that we try to find something that is broken and we try to fix it through AI, but sometimes it's also possible that we find something that is great in terms of the way it operates, but how can we make it even, how we can make it even better. So that journey has been, to us, has been a real, let's say, struggle that is worthwhile. That through it we learned a whole lot of things, to be quite honest. And one of the things that I would probably highlight here is that when working with the government entities, sometimes the biggest struggle that I personally found as an individual or somebody who's running the Dubai Center of AI is the fact that the knowledge between the various government entities quite vary. You have small government entities that are just trying to figure out where the use case is versus a really well-established government entity like the Road Transportation Authority or the Dubai Health or the Dubai Police, who've been quite advanced in the way that they operate, and they just needed to find the right vendors to work with. So the way that we operate as a center on either side of the coin has been a struggle for us because we cannot maintain the same language. We have to always change our communication and the hat that we wear whenever we talk to different government entities. And that has been a struggle for us, but also a learning. And when we started looking into the private sector, as you can imagine, one of the challenges that we faced, and I'm sure many of you probably face the same thing, which is so many people start talking about AI, and every company started moving away from calling itself, from .com to .ai. So the AI washing was quite visible out there, and as you can imagine, that distracts people into really where they can find the value of AI. And if there are real AI companies that are not able to get their services across the line because there is so many people who are louder when it comes to marketing, and they're not necessarily using AI, but they claim that they're using AI. And as a matter of fact, my wife one day called me, and she was in an electronic shop, and she said, "I'm trying to buy a fridge, and I'm standing in front of the fridge." And she says that the fridge had a big sign that says AI enabled. And she was asking me, and she said, "Since you manage the AI center, I imagine you would know how this fridge is operating through AI." And my response to her was, if the fridge is working just fine since the 40s and the 50s, I don't think AI will make it any better at this stage. So she started laughing, but that taught me a lesson that today, anywhere that we look at, we're going to see something around AI. We just needed to be more careful. And that's why we sort of started looking into creating something that we call the Dubai AIC, which allowed us to really look into each AI company within the city and to say, is this really an AI company? What type of solutions are they providing? What type of safety that they have implemented within their solutions? Are they in development? Are they in research? Are they into implementation? Are they into hardware and infrastructure? And before we knew it, within 6 months, we were able to actually create a baseline, and we were able to map out all the AI companies within the city. So today we're quite happy to see that almost 85% of all AI companies in UAE actually reside in Dubai, and 65% of all AI companies within the Middle East actually have their headquarters in Dubai. Before we've done this baseline study, we did not know all that information, but today we do. And the reality is, because we have instructed the Dubai government not to work with any AI company unless they have the AIC, because we wanted to make sure that our investments and budgets and financial as a city goes toward the right companies, not the companies who uses automation and just say that they're using AI. And there was a side effect of that we did not think about, to be honest, is that the procurement officers from all these different government entities are calling us constantly, asking us, is this company have an AI seal? Is it the company that has already is in the pipeline of getting the AI seal? And in reality, many of them have told us that it really saved them so much time of due diligence. So in the past, whenever a company applied for a contract with the government, it will take them between 2 to 3 months in terms of due diligence and making sure that the software is actually in the right place and intended for the right challenge. And because now they have the AI seal, it literally saves them between 2 to 3 months, and it cuts out so many working hours for them. This is something that we have not thought about on day one, but to see it today that saving thousands of hours for government and procurement officers, for us is a side effect that we definitely do welcome. And perhaps that's the type of exercise that we wanted to do, just to make sure that the government and the private sector is actually in line. And we constantly run programs that we call the Dubai Center of AI Acceleration, where we actually sit down for 8 weeks to identify the proper use cases and to match up with the right AI companies within the city to be able to take that use case from just an idea to actual service that's being rolled out. And when it comes to society, as you can imagine, many of the people started asking, well, what is generative AI? How can we use it? Will it actually impact my work and job? Can I use it to make myself a bit better? And that's why we launched the 1 million prompters. And initially we started this exercise, and we just wanted people to not only understand what is AI in a very high level, non-technical way. We wanted them to understand what does a chatbot actually means. We want them also to understand how can they utilize it in their day-to-day job, whether they are whether it's a mother that is planning for a birthday party, or whether it's an accountant who's looking into his Excel sheets, or somebody who's working in marketing and trying to see how he can actually create better images. And we thought that this initiative will remain in Dubai and remain in UAE. But before we knew it, actually now we have over 190 people from over 190 countries actually involved in this program. And now we're reaching to 850,000. And my question has always been to them in our survey, why have you chosen this program? There is almost 2 million programs just like it being provided by the biggest and largest AI companies. And the number one response that we received from those individuals, they basically said, we felt quite comfortable to take a few courses from a platform that is owned by a government, because we felt strongly that the government will not push a very specific product on us. If we actually had taken this course with any private company, we knew that all the examples, all the tutorials will be around one specific utility or a chatbot, and they wanted to move away from that. Luckily for us, we've been able to launch the same exact initiative in countries like Uzbekistan and countries like Rwanda, and it gets us really excited to see that a small project like this one is actually crossing boundaries and getting people to get excited about it. So preparing a new generation that talks to AI and knows how to get the best of AI is something that really get excited about and happy. So obviously going from government to the private sector to society, we needed something that we can bring everyone together, and that's why we created an event that we called it the Dubai AI Week. And through this program, actually we were able to bring everyone in and discuss the latest and best of AI. And the first year that we created this project, we felt that not many people will actually show up or would be interested in, but surprisingly we had so many people show up, not only from UAE, but we had different country delegations actually travel all the way to Dubai to be part of it. And again, this showed the level of engagement not only is taking place nationally, but also internationally. And if I were just to recap everything that we've done, and maybe it might be beneficial to a different city, a different country, or a different organization. And by no means I'm saying that these are the right ways of doing it. All I'm saying is that this is what we've tried, and this is what we felt it worked for us, which is really start all the way from the top and getting the leadership signing off. Make sure that everybody moves toward the same direction. And sometimes leadership decision is not enough. We really needed somebody who owns it, somebody who people can relate to and can talk to on a daily basis. And that's why the move to having the AI chief of officers in every government entity supported us and helped us move things really quickly. And being able to understand for us to be able to provide the chief AI officers with the toolkits and let's call it a strategy in a box for all of them to be able to understand what frameworks they need to apply, be able to take a nice idea or a use case all the way to not only apply it, but to be able also to roll it out as a service. So being able to enhance education around that specific process got us moving really quickly. And again, when it came to the AI scene, we wanted to make sure that there is enough trust in the market and in the conversations that people are having to make sure that that contract takes place, that signature is being written off on documents, and business actually moves in a very trusted way forward. And obviously, we cannot have any of these conversations without the public being involved and to be trained and understand the topic of AI and generative AI, because you want everyone to speak the same language. This is in a summary the way that we have approached it in Dubai to go from an idea and apply it all the way to a government service. And this just wraps up my notes for today.
네, 고맙습니다.